Or you can come up here to the podium.
Okay.
Yeah, help her out, John. That's fine, no
During
worries.
all this is
You're fine.
Grab the mic. Get your mic.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all you Zoom people. When Brett picked me up this morning, he asked me if I had any memory sticks or computers, and I said, no. I said, I'm tired of PowerPoints. I do those for school. I've done those for amateur radio club presentations. Everybody else is doing them, and I'm just going to talk, and I'm going to show you a few. I brought a few visual aids. Anyway, the introduction kind of hit a lot of the highlights of what I want to talk about. And I would like to start with my early life when I was very small. I think I was about 3 years old, and I have had low vision since birth due to ocular albinism. And when I was very young, my eye doctor in Fort Worth and my mom were trying to figure out possible ways to deal with my photosensitivity, which is a real issue when you have albinism. The retinas in your eyes are very fair, as well as the rest of you, and it makes it difficult to deal with a lot of light. And so they wanted to put these experimental contact lenses on me that were very dark. They were black, and they wanted to see if that would help me see better, just because maybe there would be less light coming in for my eyes to deal with. So the cost of these contacts was pretty astronomical at the time. And so back then, I think the contact lenses were like $250 a piece. And that was a lot of money back then. So the Lions Club, actually, I guess my eye doctor knew, had a connection, and so the Lions Club actually helped fund those contact lenses that I had when I was really young, and I remember wearing them. I don't remember if they really helped a lot with the problem because I was so young. It was hard for me to, it was hard to know, but I wore them for several years, and I do have some pictures that anyone is welcome to look at afterwards because I don't have them on the computer. That's one of the great things about PowerPoints, is it makes everything really big. But here's some pictures of when I was at the Lions Club meeting back then, getting my mom and I were we were invited to a meeting for them to present us with the funds, I guess, to pay for those contacts. And I was kind of cute back then. I was a little girl looking at the big L on the sign and just thought that was great. So all growing up, my mom would tell me about this. And in fact, one of the members of the Lions Club was, I think, the photographer who took those pictures, and he also worked for the Arlington newspaper, so they did a little article about it, which my mom still had. I called her the other day and I said, do you have that stuff? And she said, I sure do. And so I got hold of that, so everybody's welcome to look at that later if they want. It was kind of neat to see that again. But all my life growing up, I was told that story, and I was told, that was how I always kind of was aware of the fact that the Lions Club is kind of famous for that kind of work with helping people who are blind and visually impaired. So that was kind of a neat thing when Brett said, hey, do you want to talk to the Lions Club? And I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, because I remember that from being very young. And really all my life I grew up knowing that, and I think those contacts that I wore were kind of a big deal because it was sort of an experimental thing, and I think I was probably one of the youngest people at that time who had ever worn any kind of contact lenses. And they were hard contacts. They were very uncomfortable. I remember that. I remember at the end of the day, I couldn't wait to get those things off. Later, as I grew up, got a little older, we moved to Mississippi, and I had a really good eye doctor there. And he tried some other different kinds of contacts on me, soft contacts that were supposed to help with other issues. In addition to albinism, which causes low vision due to a neurological issue in the retina and the optic nerves, I also have other kind of more common things like nystagmus, and then with albinism comes this issue of your eyes kind of moving around a lot, and some of it's because of light, but a lot of it's because of what's called nystagmus, which is this just kind of constant movement of the eyes. And I don't know if that has anything to do with vision problems. I don't think it really does. It's just one of those things. But being visually impaired, I've always had kind of a challenge with lots of different things, and I've found that I really have done pretty well. My vision's actually really, really excellent. I try not to say that I'm legally blind very often, because when I do, people sometimes think that they just hear the word blind, and all of a sudden they're like leading me around and talking loud, and and I'm like, no, I'm not deaf. And I'm really not blind. But anyway, that beginning, that early part of life, and the way that my mom and my eye doctor kind of handled things, I think was really a key to the rest of my life being as normal as possible, based on the wonderful introduction I was given. I've done a lot of things. I've been a lot of places. I've done a lot of things on my own, and then there's a lot of things that I need help doing. I don't drive. That's the big thing. That can be really hard. It seems it's harder and harder to get along in a world where you don't drive. Even though now we've got Zoom, we've got ways to get to meetings and things. But the other thing is I like people. I'd rather go be where people are. I'm tired of Zoom meetings. But it's been great because one of the things about my work is I do artwork, and I also teach. I've got all these, I've tried all these things, animation and film, and then I end up living in Texas. I guess "end up's" not a good word because I got a lot more ahead of me, but I find myself, back in Texas where I grew up when I was little, and I find myself here teaching music lessons in my house, which is great when you don't drive because your work comes to you. And then with the pandemic, you have the remote meetings. I've done a lot of that because of this, and things are pretty much getting back to normal. But anyway, in the midst of all that, I was like, well, I just really like science, and I like math, and I've been an amateur radio operator for 20 years, and I like Morse code, and I've started to build radios, that's a challenge. When you have low vision, I have really high magnification, and people ask me what my vision's like, and I've always done really visual things. I've always done film and art and music. Music's not as visual, but it helps to be able to see the music and read it. I've always kind of liked things that demanded a lot of my vision, so I'm used to just doing stuff. I'm just get down in there and do it. And but then I decided, well, because of radio, I was gonna try this electrical engineering thing, and it's all online, and I've been doing that for about a year. It'll be a year in May, and I did a lot of science and math in high school, in addition to art, and I have been really challenged. I've been kind of blown away by just getting that part of my brain turned back on. And sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the demands made on one's vision. I sit in front of the computer and do schoolwork all day, and there are moments where I'm like, man, I don't know if I can. I've got a big screen and I can make the print really big, and I have, most of my life, my vision is fairly good, so I've not had to use a lot of like special equipment. I find actually that my vision is good enough that special equipment actually kind of felt like whenever I've tried it, it kind of felt like it slowed me down a little bit. But I'm definitely getting to a point where I'm appreciating magnification a lot more, because all my life I've had to be about this close to everything I do, 3 or 4 inches away from everything all my artwork and anything I do, I have to be really close up. And I've started, needing reading glasses and all that kind of. It's kind of funny because when it's like, okay, I can't see well enough to drive, but I have to get really close to everything. So I'm always using that short distance of my focal length, and it's getting to where that part doesn't work as well as it used to. And that's the main part I use. So now I'm like, okay, now I just need like really strong reading glasses. And so it's interesting to see how that changes for me the way it changes for most people. But there are moments where I'm like, man, if I do this, kind of job, I'll be sitting in front of a computer all day, every day. So I'm actually at a point where I'm trying to decide, like, well, is this what I want to do? Do I want to focus back more on art? So I'm actually at kind of a funny place in life where I'm kind of trying to figure out what to do next. And I am, I've got a few big art projects going, and I have a few little ones. I am blessed that I can work at home for several reasons right now. But anyway, I'm honored to get to come here and just kind of share a little bit of kind of what it's like to be me, and thank you guys for just thank the Lions Club again, even though it's so many years later and it's a different city and it's a bunch of different people than are in these pictures here. But I'm still grateful, and it's kind of a neat opportunity to say thank you for just the little help from back when I was younger, and that it kind of gave me just a little bit of a push out into kind of feeling like I could do whatever I wanted to try. And I'm still, after all this time, I'm still kind of doing that. I guess I haven't figured out what I want to be when I grow up yet. But I have these pictures here, if anybody later on afterwards would like to look at these. And I also have a portfolio that has a lot of my artwork in it. If anybody would be interested to see some of the artwork that I've done. I like kind of fine art, storytelling, movie tie-in, colorful, fun, narrative, illustration kind of art. And I'm always working at just doing more of that and getting better at that. And anyway, I appreciate your time this morning, and it's nice to meet everybody, and I feel very welcome, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. I think we have a time for a question or two. Do we have any questions
Any questions?
for Virginia? Hang on just a second, we'll get them. Questions?
Do you want to
Oh.
join a Lions Club?
Say again?
Do you want to join a Lions Club?
I might, that's something I might be interested in.
Absolutely.
And you've mentioned that you have music lessons for students. What music are you addressing in your teaching?
I'm very specialized. I teach Scottish bagpipes. That is something that right in the middle of all of it, I had this friend who decided that she played the bagpipes, and she kind of wanted a friend to play the bagpipes with, and so she offered to teach me. And I was in the middle of getting a music degree at the time, and so yeah, it's kind of a funny niche, but you'd be amazed how many people want to learn to play the bagpipes. That's what's crazy, is that people really actually want to learn how to play it.
You'd definitely be the talk of the party if you did that.
Yeah, it gets attention. It definitely is a conversation starter.
All right, we have Fred, you got a question? I'm Fred.
You said you do automations. You work with movies or anything like that?
I got a degree in my first undergraduate degree when I went to college. I started as an art major, and I ended up with a degree in film and a minor in art. And I moved out to Los Angeles for a year, and when I was there, I worked as an animator for a video game company because of the art side of things, and I wanted to be involved in that kind of movies, those animated family movies that Disney and DreamWorks and all that kind of thing. And I actually would still like to be involved with that. I really like concept art and animation still. But I have done some work in animation, and I've done a lot of work in illustration and computer graphics too.
Have you ever heard of the man Kane Maker?
Say again?
Kane Maker, he's one of the largest animation guys in Hollywood.
There's a lot of animation people out there, so I don't know that name specifically, but I probably have at some point. I got real familiar with some of the people at the Disney animators, especially. I've kind of studied some of them and their work, but there are some amazing people out there doing some amazing work.
Very good. Well, Virginia, thank you very much. And since you have such an association with the Lions Club, I wanted to give you one of our 35th anniversary Colleyville Lions pins, and hope you will wear it with pride. And please come up afterwards and take a look at the pictures. They are quite interesting.